All right, so recently I have been sharing blocks with you. When I use the word recently, I would say probably in the last 2 months, I have been sharing random quilt blocks. I was quilting and I decided to do something else instead of quilting. Mind you, I gave myself to the end of the day to finish that quilt. Would I accomplish that right now? Probably not, because I've gotten the idea to stop quilting and do something with my random blocks. I've had these blocks sitting on my station for quite some time now, and I hadn't made any random blocks to share with you. So I looked across and I thought, it's time to get rid of these because I'm seeing them as scraps. They have no connection to each other. They're just random blocks. So if you have random blocks, stick with me and I will show you what my improvisational mind is thinking about doing. So welcome to my channel. My name is Karen and today we're going to do something really exciting. If this excites you, then definitely consider subscribing and let's get started. All right, so I'm going to give you 3 rules that you must do if you are going to follow this concept of making a random quilt. Let's call it a random quilt for now because that's exactly what it is, using random blocks. Number 1, we are going to ensure that the blocks are flat. That's important. If you've got the blocks and they're a little bit wonky, iron them. Press them, make sure they're lovely and flat before you get started. Secondly, you must make sure that all the blocks are the same size. That's imperative. Why? If it's not the same size, you're going to have a hell of a time sewing that whole quilt top together and it will not lay flat on your table. The third rule is build up the size. It's simple as that. If the blocks are not the same size, either you build it up or you trim it down. Be mindful though that if you're using, say, a block that has stars, be careful not to cut the points off. So in this instance, if you're using blocks that have a star, you can't cut your points off. The best thing to do is to make sure all the other blocks are the same size of that block. That's the trick to it. So come with me. Let's dive over to my table. My room is a mess, so if you notice that, don't worry about it. It will get cleaner when I'm done with this. It is now 1:30 in the afternoon here, and I intend to finish this by the end of the day. So I'm going to tell you what time it is when I finish. Do I have my phone with me? Yes, of course I have my phone with me. There it is, 1:30 in the afternoon. Can you see it? You should be able to see it there. 1:30 in the afternoon. So, wish me luck. I should finish. All right. It's not a race, but I was bored, so I'm going to give myself a little bit of a challenge. So let's get started. So as you can see, my blocks are very much random. And they're not all the same size. For example, this one was very small and I've just added some borders around it, scrappy borders. Well, okay, so I've upscaled the size of this. This one, these two are now currently the same size. The one in the middle is the largest, and I've also added some around this one here also, which roughly comes up slightly bigger, so I will have to trim. As you can see, if I turn it around, you can see the excess around there. Okay, so I have 2 options. Either I make them all the same size by upscaling the size or trimming down. Haven't decided that at the moment. This is my biggest block. I am not going to add any because this is a star block. So this is going to remain as it is, and I'm going to fit everything else around. This one here is slightly smaller, and again I am going to add a little bit of a border around it. So with this particular block here, what I will do is link all the blocks in this video so that you can see how to make them. This one, very random, and I'm not sure if it actually fits in to the whole concept of the quilt, but it's going anyway. Another one that needs to be upscale in size. So with this one, so I'm going to continue upscaling, then I will press them and ensure that they're all to the same size. I'm just going to be using random scraps of fabric like this one here. It is just really a plain piece of fabric, and I think I'm going to add it around this one because there's so much going on with this particular block here, just so that I can frame it up and it sort of stands out. All right, all done. Let's move on to the next. Alright, so after ironing my blocks, the next thing I need to do is to square them down. I've already upscaled the size, so I'm going to square them down. I'm working now with my biggest square here, my biggest block I should say, and all I'm going to do is just simply put it on top of one of the blocks here, and I'm just going to square it up to the size. That is it. I'm just going to center it on the block. So I've made it slightly bigger. And just trim as you would normally. Now, a trick I would say to you is when you are choosing your borders for your blocks, my option was in my head, whatever my hand landed on is what went. That was it. To eliminate having to waste time. So whatever my hand landed on is what went into the making or upscaling the block. So we'll turn it and trim as I would any other normal block. Now it's time for the layout.
kind of butterfly.
Alright, so what I can currently see is that my side here is shorter than the middle. So once I sew these together, these 3 blocks here, they will be shorter than the middle. That occurs on both sides. So I have some more scraps here. All I am doing, I don't even know what size this is. Let me measure, because someone is going to wonder what it is. It is 3.5 inches in width. So I'm just adding on some sashings, and I'm just going to add them on and trim to the size, or the length I should say, of what I want. So that's 1 in, like so. Sew that one on, add another one here, and it's just to lengthen it so that it's the same length as the middle. So I'm going to continue adding on the sashings, and then I'll show you what the quilt top looks like. Alright, so this is what I have done. Sewn these 2 strips together, as you can see. Alright, so I'm going to do the same on the other side. So I have my 3 individual blocks here, and I have my leftover scraps. Hopefully it's enough, because this is all the scraps I have of this one. I'm only using scraps. I have not cut from any yardage or anything like that. So I'm just going to add front sides together. I should have enough for the top, middle and end, and then after that I'll check my time, because I haven't checked my time. I'm trying to complete this by at least 5 o'clock, and yeah, then I hopefully start quilting. So I'm going to continue with that, and I'll show you the whole quilt top when I'm done. Alright, so this is the time, 15:15, and this is the quilt top done. Okay, I haven't ironed it out or anything like that. So all I'm going to do now is to baste and quilt, and let's see how it actually turns out. Looking good so far. You can do with a good bit of an iron just to flatten it all down, which is very important, so don't miss that. And then we will see. So this is the boutique borders here. So I did manage to have enough to add on. So let's see what it looks like once it's quilted. Alright, so it is, let me get in the camera. It is 4 o'clock now. There you go, 1600. So I'm now about to go and start to quilt. 6:01. So let's see what time I actually finish. Alright guys, it's 5 o'clock. And I'm done. All right, so let's have a look at it. I'm going to take the camera off so you can see it. So Tuesday, all done and quilted. You can see it there. All right, so let me take it down, take the camera down so you can see it properly. This is crazy. All right, so here it is. The only thing I haven't done is add the binding, but it's all quilted and ready to go. I must admit, it looks really nice. I don't even know what size it is because I literally finished it and showed it to you. I was interrupted. My neighbor came and chatted to me for a little bit. Had she not come and done that, I would have definitely finished it completely, binding everything on. But what do you think, guys? What do you think? Random blocks and a random quilt. But it was nice, and as you can see, where I added all of the frames around each of the block. It looks all right, actually. But what do you think? Was I crazy to just put all of these random blocks together? In all honesty, it's a scrappy quilt, isn't it? It's a scrappy random block quilt. All of these strips that I added was scrappy. Obviously, I built the middle one, the middle square up, and I used this square here, measure it down to this size, as well as this one here as well. Let me take my quilting machine off the table, and that way I can spread it on properly. All right, here we go. So that is the quilt in its entirety. It's more rectangular than square, but it looks good. I even went ahead and made a piece backing as well. The quilting is large. I didn't do a very tiny quilting, obviously, to finish in the time that I wanted, but it's a good size for the quilt. The scale is good. I've no qualms with that one. The blocks are nice. My favorite block and the color and how the quilting looks with it is this one here. I love this one. You can't see much of this one here with the quilting. This one is pretty cool too. I love the colors I've used around it. But overall, they look pretty good, I must admit. It's not a bad quilt. It's not a bad random block quilt. And it literally is random blocks sewn together. But let me know. I'm eager to know what you guys think. On the back, I actually did a piece backing as well. So that's the backing of the quilt, sorry. So yeah, not bad to do a piece backing and to do all of that from 1:30 till 5 in an afternoon, sorry, to make a small quilt. I'm going to measure it before you guys go, so you know exactly what size it has actually come up to. But it feels good, it looks good, it feels nice and soft actually. I don't know why I'm surprised. Don't know why I'm surprised, but I love it. It looks good. I'm pleased with the outcome. I really am, considering the amount of time I made it in. I was just bored, as I told you, and I just wanted something just to, you know, keep my brain a bit occupied. So I went ahead and used up all of my random blocks. And this is what the quilt comes together. So it's 50, and that's without the binding. So 50 by, let's see what it measures on the width there. 50 by 42. You can see that there, right on the 42 edge. So that's pretty good, guys. Not bad at all. So share with me down below what you think of the quilt. You don't want to see the room. Look at the room. Look at my room. Look at the mess. You can tell I was working at a rate of a speed. Look at the state of my room. It's an absolute tip. An absolute tip. So I have lots of work to do, but it was nice, refreshing to stop quilting and make this random scrappy quilt. Alright guys, so share with me down below. So I made this literally within I think 3.5 hours. Yeah, 1:30, 2:30, 3:30, 4:30, 5. So 3.5 hours I made this quilt. Not bad. Not bad. Did I achieve a quilt in an afternoon? I think I did. Alright, bye for now. Happy quilting, and I'll definitely see you in the next one. Let me know your feedback down below. Like and subscribe for more. Bye for now.